The great hall of the Galactic Council was full that day. Aliens from 100 worlds sat on shining seats, their eyes glowing, their voices sharp, their laughter filling the dome. In the center, a small figure stood, a human delegate from Earth. His name was Daniel. He was young and nervous, his heart beating like a drum inside his chest. He carried a small device in his hand, nothing more than a music player from Earth, but to him it felt heavier than any weapon. Around him the alien voices rose, mocking, cruel. They pointed long fingers, their teeth sharp with joy. "Look at the human," one alien hissed. "He brings toys instead of power." Another laughed, its wings shaking. "Humans cannot fight, they cannot rule. All they have is noise they call music." The hall filled with cruel laughter, echoes bouncing against the silver walls. Daniel stood still, his hands tight around the device, his eyes lowered, but inside him something burned. He had heard the whispers before, he had read the reports. The Council never respected Earth. They never saw humanity as equal. They believed humans were weak, fragile, useless, yet today he was sent with one mission: to show something the galaxy had never understood. His mentor had told him before he left Earth, "They will laugh at you, they will insult you, but remember, Daniel, our music is older than their empires. Our songs are deeper than their science. Hold your ground." So Daniel stood in silence, waiting, letting them laugh. The council leader, a massive alien with skin like iron, raised his voice. "Humans speak. Show us why you disturb our council with your presence." Daniel swallowed, his throat dry, his voice small but steady. "You mock our music because you do not understand it," he said. "But music is not noise. It is a language of the soul." The hall laughed again, louder. "Language of the soul?" One alien sneered. "Your soul is weak." Daniel's hands shook, but he pressed the button on his device, and a sound began to flow through the chamber. It was a simple melody, a slow human song, a piece written centuries ago, filled with sorrow and hope. The sound echoed through the council hall, soft and haunting. At first the aliens laughed harder, their voices rising, but then the laughter began to die. One by one, the aliens grew silent, their faces changing, their eyes wide. The song carried feelings they had never known. The predator races felt their hearts ache. The cold machines felt something stir in their circuits. The winged creatures folded their wings and trembled. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council sat in silence. Daniel looked around, his fear fading, his chest rising with courage. "This," he said softly, "is the power of music." No one answered. They only listened, their minds shaken, their bodies frozen. The iron-skinned leader leaned forward, his voice low. "What is this? Weapon?" Daniel shook his head. "It is not a weapon. It is art. It is life. It is human." But the leader's eyes narrowed, suspicion burning. "If it can silence us, it can destroy us," the hall murmured, whispers spreading like fire. "Perhaps the humans are not so weak," one alien muttered. "Perhaps their songs hold hidden power," another whispered. Daniel felt a chill. He realized too late what they were thinking. They were not moved. They were afraid, and fear twisted quickly into greed. He wanted to speak again, to explain, to tell them that music was never meant to harm. But before he could, the iron-skinned leader raised his hand. "Enough," the leader said. "The human has shown us more than words. Let this council study their music. Let us uncover its secrets." The other aliens nodded, their eyes glowing with hunger. Daniel's heart sank. He had not shown them beauty. He had shown them something they would try to use. The song ended. Silence fell heavy, the echoes still floating in the air. Daniel stood alone in the center of the hall, surrounded by alien eyes. He felt small, but inside he knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy had laughed at human music, but now they had felt its true touch, and nothing would ever be the same. And deep in that silence, a dangerous thought was born. What if human music could be turned into a weapon? The council. Chamber remained heavy with silence even after the music ended. Aliens shifted uneasily in their seats, some clutching their heads as if the echoes still pressed against their minds. But behind the silence there was greed, a hunger that grew sharper with every heartbeat. The iron-skinned leader leaned close to his advisors, his voice low and sharp. "The humans may not know what they hold, but we will discover it, we will claim it." The others nodded quickly, their eyes glowing with plans, their voices whispering about experiments, about laboratories, about armies that could be broken with sound alone. Daniel stood in the middle of the chamber, his heart beating faster. He wanted to speak, to warn them, but no one listened now. They were no longer mocking, they were plotting, and that was worse. Later that night, in the shadowed corridors of the council city, a secret message reached him. A thin alien, small and gray, stepped from the dark, its eyes wide with fear. "You should not have played the song," the alien whispered. "They will not see beauty, they will see a weapon, and they will not stop until they own it." Daniel froze. "Who are you?" The alien shook its head. "It does not matter. I worked in the council labs once, I know how they think. They will take your music apart. They will twist it into something unrecognizable. Leave this city. Leave before they silence you too." But Daniel did not leave. He returned to his quarters with the warning burning in his mind. He could not abandon Earth. He could not let the galaxy steal what made humans human. Far away, in hidden research stations, the first experiments began. Predator. Species captured the recordings Daniel had played. They forced soldiers to listen, and what they saw terrified even them. Hardened warriors dropped their weapons. Some wept, some screamed, some fell into madness. The music crawled into their thoughts, stirring memories, breaking walls they had never known existed. Commanders wrote reports filled with words like mind fracture, emotional collapse, loss of control. The council leaders smiled when they read these reports. They had found something more powerful than any blade, any ship, any bomb. Whispers spread through the galaxy, whispers of soldiers who fought invisible battles in their minds. Entire units lost without a single shot fired. Rumors claimed the cause was not a new weapon, but something stranger, something human. On Earth, people lived unaware. Musicians played in crowded halls. Singers raised their voices under open skies. Families danced to old songs. No one knew that their art, their joy, was being twisted in cold labs light years away. Daniel tried to send warnings back home, but the council systems blocked his messages. Every channel closed, every line silenced. He was trapped, and worse, he was being watched. In secret meetings, alien scientists argued. One group wanted to weaponize human songs directly. Another wanted to break the sound into fragments, waves that could be injected into battlefields. A third argued that if humans could create such dangerous art, then humanity itself must be controlled, perhaps even destroyed. Daniel learned all this from the same gray alien who risked its life to bring him scraps of truth. "Already, 3 worlds have tested your music," the alien whispered, trembling. Entire cities fell quiet, no resistance, no fight, only silence. And when the music ended, the people never stood again. Daniel's chest tightened, horror filling him. He had not given them a weapon, he had given them a mirror of humanity, and they had chosen to see only darkness. One night, he dreamed of his mentor's words. "Our music is older than their empires," the old man had said. "But remember, Daniel, a gift in the wrong hands can become a curse." When he woke, Daniel knew the galaxy had crossed a line. Humanity was in danger not from war fleets but from their own songs, stolen and reshaped. And yet, in the cold halls of the council, voices rose with dangerous excitement. "If one song can crush a city," the iron-skinned leader said, "what will a symphony do?" The chamber erupted with applause. They were no longer laughing at human music, they were preparing to unleash it. And somewhere deep inside the galaxy, a deadly plan was born. A plan to play a song so powerful, it could bring the entire galaxy to its knees. Daniel stood at his window staring into the stars, his heart heavy. He whispered to himself, "They think they can control our music, but they do not understand. They will never understand." But he also knew the truth. If humanity did not act soon, the galaxy would, and when they did, no world would be safe from the forgotten power of human music. The first time human music was used in battle, no one believed the reports. A predator fleet attacked a small world at the edge of council space, armed with cannons, fire, and iron. But the defenders did not fight with ships or weapons. They only played a single human recording, a song filled with sorrow, the voice of a woman who had lived centuries ago. The predators laughed at first, but then the song poured into their minds. Captains froze at their controls, soldiers dropped their rifles, some screamed, some cried, some tore at their own armor as if trying to escape themselves. Within minutes, the fleet collapsed into chaos. Not a single defender fired a shot, yet the predators lost the battle. Rumors spread faster than light. Everywhere. Whispers carried the same story. Human music breaks armies, they said. Human music is the sound of madness. The council tried to silence the rumors, but fear is a fire, and fear cannot be silenced. Generals from many empires gathered. In secret halls, their voices sharp, their eyes filled with unease. If humans can create such things by accident, one commander said, what will happen if they choose to use it on purpose? Another snarled, then the galaxy belongs to them. Daniel heard these words from the shadows, the gray alien at his side. He felt the weight of them, heavier than any chain. He had wanted to show them beauty, but instead, he had shown them something that terrified even the strongest species. In hidden laboratories, more experiments continued. Alien scientists captured more human songs, breaking them into fragments, twisting them into weapons. Marching songs that once gave hope to humans now shattered the discipline of alien soldiers. Love songs that once brought comfort now drove entire species into despair. Every piece of music was turned into a blade, sharper than steel, and everywhere, fear grew. Planets far from Earth banned human visitors. Merchants refused to carry human goods, schools whispered to children. Cover your ears if you ever hear their sound. Yet in the shadows, the powerful empires grew greedy. Some stored human recordings as if they were bombs. Others trained soldiers to resist them, though most failed. And one empire, the most ruthless of all, began to build something darker, a chamber large enough to hold thousands, filled with hidden speakers. Their plan was simple: to play a human symphony so powerful it would not just crush armies, it would crush worlds. Daniel discovered fragments of this plan through stolen reports. He read them in silence, his hands shaking. Project Harmony, the files called it. But there was no harmony in it, only destruction. He tried again to send warnings back to Earth, but every message was cut, every signal blocked. Humanity remained blind, unaware that their art, their soul, was being turned into the galaxy's deadliest weapon. The gray alien spoke in a trembling voice, and they believe they can control it. But I have seen their soldiers, I have seen their eyes after the music plays. They are broken. They are not themselves. If they release this weapon, the galaxy will fall into madness. Daniel closed his eyes, hearing his mentor's voice in his memory. Our songs are not weapons, Daniel. They are bridges. But the galaxy had burned the bridge and chosen the sword. Soon, entire fleets began to tremble at the sound of whispers alone. No one trusted silence anymore, because silence meant the music could come at any moment. Captains slept with fear, soldiers covered their ears, yet nothing stopped the creeping dread. The predator fleet that once mocked humans now feared them most. Even their strongest generals admitted in secret, against their songs, our claws are useless. The council chambers grew restless. For the first time in centuries, no empire felt safe. Not from ships, not from armies, but from a sound that could not be blocked. Not with walls, not with shields, not with fire. Daniel stood at his window again, staring at the stars. He whispered, "The galaxy is afraid of us now, but they do not fear us for our strength. They fear us for our songs." And deep inside him, he knew the truth. The galaxy was preparing for something far greater. A final test, a final strike. A weapon built not by human hands, but by alien greed, and when that moment came, Daniel knew the music of humanity would decide the fate of every world. Not just Earth, not just the Council, but the galaxy itself. Daniel could no longer sleep. Every night he saw the same nightmare. Alien fleets falling, soldiers screaming, worlds breaking apart. And above it all, the sound of human songs twisted into weapons. The rumors were true now. Not just whispers. The ruthless empire had finished building their weapon. A vast chamber hidden deep inside a fortress world. Thousands of speakers lined its walls, prepared to unleash a single human symphony across the stars. They called it Project Harmony. But there was no harmony in their plan, only conquest, only chains. The council knew, yet they stayed silent. Some feared the empire, others hoped to share in its power. Only Daniel and a handful of voices spoke against it, but his words were drowned in politics and lies, until Earth finally received his message. It had taken months, but fragments of his warnings broke through the blocks. For the first time, humanity learned the truth. Their music was no longer their own. It had been stolen, broken, and prepared as a weapon to enslave the galaxy. Shock spread across Earth, but the shock quickly turned to anger. Musicians, scientists, soldiers, even ordinary families stood together. They could not let their art, their soul be turned into chains. A plan was formed, desperate and dangerous. A small human strike team would travel to the fortress world. Their mission was clear: stop the broadcast before the symphony could be unleashed. Daniel was chosen to guide them. He had walked the council halls, he had seen the labs, and more than that, he carried something the galaxy could never steal. A secret recording. A song not of despair or madness, but of hope. The journey was long and perilous. Alien patrols hunted them. Spies watched every corridor. But humans were clever. They hid in cargo ships, slipped through shadows, and used every trick survival had taught them. Finally, they reached the fortress world, a planet of iron skies and black towers, its heart glowing with the power of Project Harmony. The humans looked at it in silence, their breaths tight. One mistake and the galaxy would fall. Inside the fortress, thousands of alien soldiers prepared for the broadcast. They had no fear, for they believed the weapon would make them gods. They did not see the small band of humans slipping through the shadows. Daniel leading them step by step, every hallway echoed with danger. Every door opened to the unknown. Twice they were nearly caught. Once Daniel had to press himself against the wall as a column of guards marched past. His heart beat so loudly, he feared it would give them away. At last they reached the control chamber. Massive screens showed the galaxy map. Lines of energy traced the paths where the music would travel. Daniel felt his stomach twist. Once the song was played, every world would hear it, every world would fall. The team moved quickly, planting charges on the machines, but before they could finish, alarms blared. The soldiers had found them. The room erupted in chaos. Humans fought with everything they had, blades against claws, fire against armor. Daniel rushed to the central console. He knew there was no time. The music was already beginning. The first notes of the stolen symphony echoed through the chamber. Even the humans staggered as the sound crawled into their minds. Some soldiers screamed and fell. Others dropped their weapons. The air itself seemed to tremble. Daniel clutched his device, his last hope. He pressed the button, and from the small speaker came another song. It was not a song of sorrow, not of despair. It was a song of unity, a song of love, a song of freedom. The two songs clashed in the air, one born of greed and fear, the other born of humanity's soul. The soldiers froze, caught between chaos and peace. The fortress trembled as the music battled unseen. Daniel's eyes burned with tears as he whispered, "They will not steal this from us, not today." The charges ticked closer to detonation. The humans fought harder, holding back wave after wave of enemies, and then, in a burst of fire and sound, the machines of Project Harmony began to fall. But it was not over yet. The symphony had already begun to spread, and now the galaxy itself would hear both songs, one of chains and one of freedom. The galaxy held its breath. From one end of the stars to the other, the music spread, two songs racing across space, one twisted into a weapon, sharp and cruel, the other pure and unbroken, born from the human heart. Worlds trembled as the first notes struck. Armies froze mid-march. Predator fleets roared as madness clawed at their minds. Children cried in terror, parents held their ears. The weaponized symphony tore into every corner of the galaxy. But then another sound rose to meet it. The song Daniel had carried in secret, a melody of hope, soft at first, like a candle in the dark, but growing stronger, brighter, unstoppable on 1,000 worlds. People felt it. Aliens who had never known music suddenly wept. Predators dropped their claws and knelt on the ground. Even machines paused, their circuits humming with something close to sorrow. The two songs battled in the void. One screamed of chains and control, the other whispered of freedom and unity. The clash shook the fortress, walls cracking, towers splitting. Daniel stood at the console, his body weak but his spirit burning. Behind him, the humans still fought, their shouts drowned by the sound. But he knew the real battle was not with weapons. It was here, in the clash of melodies. The weaponized symphony pushed harder. It tried to twist the hopeful song, to drown it in darkness. But the human melody refused to die. Because it was not just notes, it was memories, laughter, sorrow, courage. It was the soul of a species that had suffered and endured. And as the song grew, something changed. The alien soldiers dropped their rifles, not from fear, not from madness, but from understanding. They stared at the humans not as enemies, but as equals. Across the galaxy, voices joined the melody. Some hummed, some cried, some simply listened. The human song was no longer alone. It had become the galaxy's song. The fortress shook as the charges ignited. Machines burst into flame. The project that had stolen humanity's art burned to ashes, but Daniel's device kept playing, its small speaker filling the chaos with a light stronger than fire. The iron-skinned leader, who had laughed at humans, now fell to his knees, his voice trembling. "This is not a weapon," he whispered. "This is life." Daniel felt tears on his face. For the first time since he arrived, he was not afraid. He stood tall, his voice steady. "You mocked us for our weakness, but this is our strength. You tried to turn our soul into chains, but our soul cannot be broken." Silence fell. The weaponized song faded into nothing. Only the melody of freedom remained, soft, endless, echoing across the stars. And when it ended, the galaxy was not the same. The council bowed their heads. The empires laid down their weapons, for they had learned a truth they could not deny. Humans were not weak. They carried a power no machine could replicate, no empire could steal, the power to touch the soul. Daniel looked at his people, battered but alive. He whispered, "They laughed at our music, but now they understand." Far away, on Earth, musicians still played, children still sang, families still danced under the sky. Unaware that their voices had saved the galaxy, the stars glowed brighter that night, as if even the heavens had listened. And in the records of history, the council would write, not of warships or battles, but of a single song. The song that turned laughter into silence, the song that gave freedom to the stars.